What is your path typically?
It varies from 10 left to 10 right. If I was a good golfer, I'd have a full set of them.
You can put the path next to that strike location.
All right, Scott. I mean, it looks awful, doesn't it? I don't want this in the bag at all. That feels so soft.
So what happens if you've got 110?
Struggle. That is really, really good. I've found the huge problem with golf club fitting is getting fitted to a demo 7-iron doesn't work. In today's video, we're going to get fitted for a full set of irons, and I can take my pick from some of the fantastic brands here at SGGT. We have Titleist, we have TaylorMade, we have Callaway, we have all the big brands that you could want. So what brand would you get fitted for? Well, when I came for a totally unbiased fit-in, I ended up in a set of Titleist irons. So today we're going to do a full bag right from driving iron to wedge and see exactly just what set I should have with a combination set. We also have a very special guest today. Scott, how are you?
Good, thanks, you.
Very good, thank you. I was trying to work out what your job title was, but we've gone from gaffer to fitter to manager. So
Minion number one we'll go with.
We'll go with that. But I'm really excited to be here, guys. So this is the SGGT Performance Fitting Centre up in Edinburgh, and we've travelled far and wide to come and see you today.
Early start.
Early start, very much so. I'm really looking forward to this. So we're going to have a look at just what kind of combinations we can go full throughout the bag.
Yep.
It's something which I'm a massive believer in. I've done club fittings in the past from a demo cart. I've seen terrible fittings from a demo cart, and I feel like this is just kind of the next level for people to potentially get the best out of their game.
So with Lawrence, you've done 6-iron, so you've got some numbers. We'll start with that and get some numbers again just as you warm up. And then what we'll do is we'll try 4-iron. I know you were in T150 before, but...
Yeah, we delved into the 4-iron a little bit, but it wasn't kind of a full bag. So.
All right, let's try T150, let's try T100, let's try T200, let's try U505.
MB.
MB if you really want to be that guy.
You're not that guy, pal, trust me. You're not that guy.
But let's work out what you want 4-iron to do. Trackman might say you want it should go X, but if you play a golf course that it maybe needs to go higher and land softer, or it's out predominantly in the wind, it might need to go flatter. Let's work out what you want 4-iron to do. It might be you end up with 2 options, so you can play in different courses with it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to look at kind of a driving iron potentially as well to see just how far I can get it out there when I'm struggling off the tee like I've been doing for the last 20 years.
I think you've got the option as well that there is 7-wood, there is hybrid. Like when it comes to 4-iron, it doesn't need to be 4-iron. Some guys end up with stock 4-iron, but might have a different shaft in it. Some guys end up with a different head. It's how do you get the right thing, not just for numbers, but for what you want it to do.
Right, let's do it.
All right.
Okay, so we've just had a warm-up. We're going to jump into the 6-iron with the LA Golf 120 shaft that we did get fitted for with Lawrence and see just potentially. I'm excited where we're going to go with this because I'm not sure if we're going to go full-on forgiveness top end and then MB bottom end maybe. I used to have a thing for MBs back in the day.
I think, see if you're going to put MB, it's put it in for the right reason. Now, if from a performance standpoint, it does what you want it to do, then by all means have it.
Yeah.
But at least being able to try it, we can make sure the numbers stack up rather than just putting it in for the sake of putting it in.
Yeah, I think a discussion between MB and Vokey would be an interesting one, wouldn't it? See what exactly people kind of want.
Yeah, find out what flight you want it to look like. And even if we start with 4-iron and we hit all the different fours, you know what, hit every 4-iron that Titleist doing, let's see what the difference is.
That felt as good as what I left off with. Amazing how good this shaft actually feels.
Yeah, it's stable, isn't it?
What's the path today?
1 and a bit left.
One and a bit
actually.
left. For everyone saying that it's 10 across, not anymore, because Robinson's been practicing. I've been practicing because of the terrible comments, to be fair, so thank you all for making me make that move.
Path's neutral.
Neutral.
What is your path typically?
It varies from 10 left to 10 right. it's been hit and miss.
Depends who drove.
Yeah. It's like the waist size, it could be anything. See, it's funny because those numbers are pretty identical to what we were getting a few weeks ago. Like pretty good spin, touch on the low side, but fairly happy with that 180-ish carry. And then the beauty, what I liked about this is I could work it, I could play it down.
Yeah, good. I think that's it. You need to be able to hit different shots. As a better player, you want to be able to stand and hit different shots rather than just point and shoot.
Very brave for you to stand that. No.
Just make sure from a loft and lie standpoint, this is where we want it to be roughly, rather than being off the charts flat or upright.
So where would we typically go first here? We've come in, started with the mid-iron, and then we're going to work down, then back up, do you think?
Yeah, I think you've still got energy. Let's put energy into 4-iron rather than waiting until you're knackered. I think a wedge is less strenuous, so near the end of this session, that's not a bad idea.
How many shots would you say are potentially too many for a fit-in? Because it's always intriguing me.
I think every golfer's different and very unique, and I think the thing about it is not everybody can be the same. You'll get a guy, and there was a kid on Friday and that hit 100 balls in 25 minutes, whereas you get the old boy after him that hits 25 balls in an hour. And it just depends, one, what energy you've got, two, how quickly you get to a result as well. So it just depends who it is.
25 in an hour for me would be, that and a coffee.
That'd be ample.
Yeah.
Even a wee bacon roll would help as well.
Bacon roll. I was going to go shortbread actually, but yeah, bacon roll.
Right, so 105 you were in.
Yeah, we did. We went lighter in the 4-iron just to help it kind of get up a little bit. And it's interesting to see how, obviously, we've changed the head a little bit, changed the shaft lighter to make it easier to launch a little bit. But we could even go more forgiving, couldn't we, in the head and just
definitely. So we'll start off with, as you were with Lawrence, T150, LA Golf 105 stiff. Yeah. Let's see what that does to begin with from a number standpoint. Yeah. And then we'll go more forgiving. We'll make it less forgiving, just out of interest. But let's have a look at what it does and why it does it.
Less forgiving. I'm going to aim a little bit right, Chris, of you, just so. If the ball's got a little bit right, it's for you. It's for your safety. That's it. You've signed the waiver.
Shin pads on.
That felt absolutely incredible.
I wouldn't want that one back.
No, that was lovely. 193.
Yeah, good.
That's a little bully one. Amazing how soft these clubs feel with the LA Golf shafts in.
Had you tried LA before?
No, never heard of them, which is amazing, isn't it?
Aye.
So many people in the comments like, you've never heard of them. And I hadn't. That to me is like the perfect 4-iron flight. Like, it's not too high, but it's not dipping out the air.
So it's interesting when you speak of that, so from a number standpoint, and this is where it's interesting for every golfer, that so in an ideal world, according to TrackMan, what we want to do is get all our clubs to peak at the same height. Yeah. Whereas when you're hitting 6-iron, when you look at peak height on the good ones, where are we? Peak height 90 feet on a good one, 85 to 90 feet. Yeah. Whereas a 4-iron at 70 feet is actually the flight that you like to see. Okay. So is that because when you're hitting 4-iron, it tends to be into the wind, or it's links golf, or you're chasing it in? Yeah. So it's all fine and well saying that it'd be nice to have it high, but if that's the flight that you want to see, according to TrackMan, it's on the low side. According to optimal numbers, if we're going to dial it into that, from a standpoint, it's on the low end. But if that's what you want to see, then I would say that's what makes it right. So very rarely for me would I be hitting a 4-iron at a flag unless it's a par 3. Yeah. Because we don't generally play par 4s. Not that I hit it a long way off the tee, because I don't, but the courses we play and the tees we play off, we don't really ever have 4-iron into a par. If it's a par 5, I'd want to be chasing it anyway. Yeah. So yeah, that probably comes from my experiences, doesn't it? Yeah. I think as long as you're getting a gap in terms of distance and what you're getting, like 6-iron carrying that 180, the 4-iron that went flat, it still carried 200 from a gap. Yeah. There is still a gap in there. It's not that it's too low from that standpoint, but it's how do you get what's right for you? And I think that's the big one. I'd be interested to see what more forgiveness I could get, because there, I've hit one a tiny bit out of the heel, and you can see we've dropped 9 yards off the carry. Okay. And that's something which I think so many people would benefit from as well, just making sure that the heads are forgiving enough. So I think when you go more forgiving, it's playing about with it. So CG location is obviously going to go a little bit deeper, which in hindsight may well pop it up in the air a little bit more. So it's, do you sacrifice that desired ball flight? But I feel like, so what I would try and do is hit my normal shots, and if they're too high, try from a skill standpoint to lower it a little bit. Trap it a little bit. It might not happen, it might not work, but I feel like potentially we've got T200. And that does look good, doesn't it? I bet you could morph that into a driving iron quite easily. So still a nice shape. It's not that we've went really big and clumsy looking. No, it still looks nice, doesn't it? Straight away higher visibly, isn't it? Yeah, so the stock shot becomes higher, so that's more playable if you're trying to hit it. Because that was that Healy one as well. That wasn't a good strike. Yeah, in terms of strike location, in terms of what you've got there, was it bang out the middle? No, you've missed the middle of the face, but your 200 carry we're looking for a bad one at 196. Yeah. You get away with that. Again, not out the middle, but you're still going to get the same kind of number.
No, and it makes me wonder if I was to stand and hit a load of shots, how many, I mean, 199 carries, it's there, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many am I hitting out the middle with a 4-iron,
Yeah.
realistically?
Yeah, you're not going to hit them all, that's for sure. I think when you're hitting 4-iron, it's not necessarily a
Vote
club
of
that-
confidence.
no offence. It's not necessarily a club that you're trying to hit tight to a pin.
No.
It's can we get it in the vicinity and play from there? Strike.
Yeah, that was nice. I like there's not a lot of movement on it.
No, what I like about that, see when you look at the 3 shots that you've hit there, see from like flat line and a ball speed perspective so we can get some consistency.
Yeah.
When you look at the ball speed of the 3 shots, one of them sounded amazing, the other 2 were very iffy. Ball speed 130, 130 and 131.
Wow.
So from an actual number standpoint, the number's really, really tight. The carry number itself, you're really, really tight as well. 196, 199, 198.8.
Yeah.
So the carry number's really, really close. So the extra forgiveness there from you took that versus T150, when you look at numbers from that, carry number 193, 188, 200, 190.
Yeah, they vary massively, don't they?
Whereas 196, 199, 198,
Yeah.
it's definitely going to feel different to 150, but does it give you performance?
And probably from a confidence standpoint as well, huge,
Yeah, definitely.
realistically. Right. Can we flight it down a bit? That was really toey.
So I'm trying to flight it down, your average of 12.5, you managed to get down to 10.
Yeah.
Carry number came down a little bit purely just on strike not being bang out the middle of the face. But if you're going to hit it 18 mil towards his toe and only lose 12 yards, it's probably doing all right. So I think initially when you done it with Lawrence, you actually went into the 105 shaft just to give you a little bit more pop with the 150. I wonder if you'd actually get away with the 120 now that you're playing T200.
Yeah, potentially.
Want to try it?
Yeah. Right, so back into the heavier shaft.
Back in the heavier shaft, but with more help in the head. So does this then help you flatten out that wee touch?
What I like about that is I feel like it should be moving left and it hasn't done.
Yeah. So I think more stability through mass more than anything, but there's a wee jump in ball speed there and that ball flights came back down to that 80 feet that you quite like to see.
Yeah.
I think when you went for the forgiving head coupled with a lighter shaft, it almost became too high.
Yeah.
So you maybe need one or the other. I think when you put both in.
That's the beauty about this room, isn't it? Having the heads, having the shafts.
Totally.
Not just on the 7-iron like we said in the introduction.
Aye, definitely. Good.
I really like that.
So even if you take that from 2 angles, from a numbers standpoint, launches came down naturally, which I think you spoke about, you liked it looking that a little bit lower.
Yeah.
So you had T150 that we were fitted into before, ball speed 128. You went to 200 with the same shaft and got a jump.
Yeah.
You then put a little bit more mass in the shaft so you could feel where it was and deliver it a bit better. The ball speed then jumps again. So your carry number of your T150 at 193, you're now jumped up to 203. So
And we've got a 4,000 spin rate with a hollow-bodied head, which is,
amazing.
together with that landing angle, it's giving us everything we need, isn't it?
Yeah, if we're going to talk about an optimal ball flight and can we hit in a window and whatnot, it's really, really good. And it's a flight that you want to see.
Yeah.
It's good, really good.
So I felt like I couldn't. So if I tried to play the low one, which is important to me, because if I said this once, if the fan, I generally iron off the tee, try and punt it
Chap
low.
it round.
Yeah, and if I can't do that, then I'm really in trouble.
So if those peak to 80 feet, can we get this below 70?
So that's not going to carry as far, but for me, that's that safe one. Probably carrying 180, 185, and then releasing up to 200.
Aye, it's not necessarily pretty, but it's not a shot that you're trying to make look pretty. It's can you nurse it round?
Yeah, people know that you've got scar wounds when they see that shot.
It's almost like an arm lock putter.
Yeah.
That's more like it.
Yeah. So I don't lose that, and that's good, that's important.
But that launch at 11.8 degrees or 12 degrees that you got initially, you've managed to get that launch down 8, so you've taken it down 50%, or sorry, 30%.
Yeah.
So launch angles came down, your carry numbers dropped a little bit, the total number stayed where it was, but your peak height at 80 feet became 55.
Yeah.
So from a number standpoint, can you manipulate and do what you want it to do? T200 definitely does that.
Yeah.
But I think that coupled with a lighter shaft becomes too light and too high launching.
And I struggle to do it.
So you need to keep the stability in the shaft.
Right. So, T200 4-iron, T100 6-iron. Where do we go with the 8-iron?
Let's start with 100.
Yeah.
That's the one that would marry in, and if it looks great and the numbers are great, then it would be a natural progression.
Yeah.
If not, it's do we try CB, MB? And if we want to put MB in because we like the idea of it, are the numbers the same? And if they are, and it's as consistent, then MB flows nice if you prefer the look of it.
Yeah.
If the numbers are better with T100, we maybe have the same process with Wedge, where we try MB again.
And a lot of people at home might be watching this and going, James, you're massively overcomplicating this. Why don't you just go with a set? But this is why I like coming to a proper fitting like this, where you can just play around with it, you can have some fun. You may only do this once a year, once every 2 years, once every 3 years when you decide to get new clubs. But if you leave no stone left unturned, you don't ever have that little inkling in your head, oh, we should have tried that, we should have done that, which we've all done when we spent big money on golf clubs.
Yeah, definitely. I think, as you say, you've said before that you love the idea of MB. It's try MB, and it's maybe not good enough in 6-iron, but if you're only getting fitted on 6, you've written MB off, whereas let's try it at the bottom end, and if it works, brilliant. If it still doesn't work, we'll know what you've ruled it out.
I used to have them 4-iron to wedge.
Used to.
So you're just asking me what I was using before the kind of whole social media stuff.
Yeah.
So I was using the Titleist clubs, and I believe Chris has just reminded me, it was MB wedge to 7, 654 in the CB, but even going down to the Titleist Performance Centre, which was at Cambridge St Ives, really, really good, really, really knowledgeable people, but it's a 7-iron. And I was like, well, how do you fancy the 6-iron? You're like, I literally don't know because you've not got it.
Yeah.
So this is where coming somewhere like this, you have more of an idea.
I think when we moved into this facility about 6 years ago, the dream was to have 468 wedge and see ball flight and premium golf balls and whatnot, but it's how you dial in a set rather than just having a guess that might work, or you put, like we've just said, the blade in at the bottom end because you like the idea of it.
Yeah.
If performance doesn't stack up or the gaps aren't what you want it to be, it then just becomes guesswork.
Yeah, right.
All right.
8-iron. About a 150 for me, I'm thinking this. That feels so soft. To say I've hit that so far out the toe.
I think that goes back to your argument earlier, that's does the extra forgiveness help what you're wanting it to do?
Hey? I want to put the comments on screen now. Next, just need to lose 2 stone and they've got nothing to say, have they?
You can put the path next to that strike location.
All right, Scott. Much prefer Lauren's.
How does it look behind the ball?
Looks good. Yeah, I like the top edge is nice. The offset's minimal. That's, I think, everything I'm liking about it, really.
But from a numbers standpoint, we talk about irons running a line, 6-iron peaking at 80 feet, 8-irons in at that 80 feet as well. 4-iron with the T200 was in at that 80 feet. So they run in a line nicely. So if you said from a numbers standpoint, could you play?
That's the shot. Well, I think they're the numbers, because that's like a nice 90% swing.
In control of it. That one was a little bit higher, but yeah, good shot by all accounts.
I like that I can kind of guess the numbers as well. Like I'll go into it thinking, right, 150.
Is that an 8-iron? 150?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Like if I had to really turn it over, then 155, but you just hit a chippy 7.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd go much less forgiveness looking at, do you? Do we try?
MB, have a go at
Should we
it?
have a go? Should we have a
Yeah.
go? Have a go. Why not? Do look good, don't they?
Does it get any better than that?
No, it doesn't.
Do you know what I mean? I'm going to clean it. It's got stuff growing on the front of it.
If I was a good golfer, I'd have a full set of them. What would you have? Cobra Forge. Right.
I'm just going to match it up so it's the exact same loft and lie.
Yeah.
Give it a fair crack at the whip and see
And
what it
this
does.
is something else, because so many people will say, oh, well, how can you match up a set? How can you do a combination set when the lie angles and lofts are totally different? Whereas here, we're matching those up so that they're all kind of set.
Yeah, the MB is typically a little bit weaker than the T100, so just strengthen that a degree just to make it run in a line for you.
Yeah.
And just see what it does.
Adam Scott.
How does it look?
I mean, it looks awful, doesn't it? I don't want this in the bag at all. This is just a precaution to see where we'd go. The funny thing is that felt really good and it's going to be 10 yards short.
You can see it, the drop off in ball speed instantly.
Yeah.
Even at the same loft, you've missed the middle of the face by 4 or 5 mil. It's done okay, but the drop off's there to see.
Yeah. And that's the one where you're on a par 3 and you don't really put that bad a swing on it,
Yeah.
but it's short.
And I think, as I say, it's when you speak about without trying it, because you like the concept of it, you order your new set, you're spending the money on it, it's, do you just put it in for the sake of putting it in?
Yeah.
That one's bang out the middle.
Yeah, 150 that will it carry.
Trackman's killed us and lost a spin rate there, so we've not got an accurate number, but from a strike location standpoint, you can certainly find the middle with it.
Yeah.
So ball speed's good on a good one. Can you replicate that?
Oh, all right, that one. Maybe a touch heavy. I just think you're putting yourself under too much pressure though, aren't you?
It's when you see that drop off in ball speed that you're not necessarily missing the middle of the face by millions,
Yeah.
but the drop off in ball speed is 3 and 4 miles an hour as soon as you miss the middle of the face a hair. And are you just making it difficult for the sake of looking good?
100%. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah, so
But
when
it
you look,
took 3 shots.
see when you looked at T100, ball speed was 110, give or take a mile an hour.
Yeah.
You've hit 2 of them at 111, 2 of them at 107, and it's the good's good, so you can play it, but the bad then becomes tricky.
Yeah. So it's not a trip down nostalgia lane, is it?
Nah, I think when you speak to golfers, I think there's definitely golfers that come in that just want to play something that looks amazing, and that's fine if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Play the best version of that, but from the majority of golfers that come through the door, it's how do you make them better at golf? And in a lot of cases, MB isn't going to be the answer.
And I think like there's so many options if you do want something that looks really, really good. Like, say if we have a look at the wall here, we've got like Mizuno Pros here. So I think Mizuno do a great job of having a club that's essentially a hollow body blade. We can see lots of different ones here. Callaway do a pretty good job of it when we get into the new Apex range as well. And obviously Miura up top here. There's so many different options for people, isn't there? If you do want that kind of forgiveness, but it looks more like a player's club.
Yeah, I think speaking to a customer last night about this, and it came on leaps and bounds, that if you go back 50 years ago, you could tell what a set of Callaways looked like. It was a big head and whatever else. If you had a set of pings, you know what it looked like. Whereas now, they've all made a really, really good job of making golf clubs look like golf clubs rather than big heads. So it's let's work out what you actually want it to do. It doesn't need to be so big anymore.
Pitching wedge.
Yeah. We'll try MB. We'll try T100, try MB, try Vokey. We'll go and hit them outside off the grass.
Yeah, love it.
And we'll talk about interaction with the ground and see what it looks like.
Great. Right, so T100 pitching wedge. Very good looking club. I think what Titleist have done really well here is down at the ball, I think they look pretty much as good as the MB or CB anyway.
Yeah, that's it. I think behind the ball, I think they've made a really good job of that. I think once upon a time when it was AP2, it maybe looked a little bit bigger, whereas they went in that T100 range, they've got that little bit smaller and it looks more how you would want it to look.
Nice little 125 to 130, Chris, are we saying here?
Okay. Sounded pretty solid.
Yeah, it was good. It was very, very nice.
Again, peak height runs in line with the rest of it. It's good, really good.
Yeah. I don't feel like I'm like forcing that for any kind of distance either. It's just... very consistent, like, numbers are all good and well, but they've landed like bang next to each other.
Yeah, you can see it, can't you?
Trying to hit windows in the air. Beauty about getting fit outside, isn't it?
So see with your gap wedge, you said you played 50. How far do you hit that?
About 100.
So what happens if you've got 110?
Struggle.
Okay, go and hit me one with this that goes 110. How does it feel taking a bit off it?
I mean, it's probably gone 110, but it wasn't the best example.
It's not got much stopping power, that one.
No. Yeah, we're not carrying anything.
It's more like it.
Yeah, that was better. In fairness, I'm joking, but I do feel fairly comfortable at that, like left arm parallel wedge.
Okay. 113.
But is that where maybe the MB comes back into the conversation?
It's either MB comes into this conversation or you start talking about do you put Vokey wedge in?
Yeah.
And it's can you try Vokey at 46? And the first one you need to check is does a full shot go the yardage you need it to go?
Yeah.
So you're not leaving a gap to 9 iron, but does it then make it easier to hit the half shot so that gap to your 50 degree becomes a little bit more
So I've
playable?
struggled there, haven't I?
Yeah. So that's definitely the shot that's more difficult for you to play.
Yeah.
Do you want to go MB or just want to go straight to Vokey?
Let's go Vokey, mate. We're not going to go MB, are we? It's going to be one or the other.
We'll get it.
One or the other. You decide. Right.
Right, so Vokey 46, the same 46 degree that T100 is. So in hindsight, it should run in a line.
Yeah.
So let's hit a few full shots. Let's make sure the distance on full shot goes what you need it to go.
Yeah.
And then we'll try that shorter shot, the 110-yard one that you really struggled with T100.
Really struggled with. Did you hear that?
That's maybe unfair. Found a little bit more difficult.
Is this the same shaft length and everything, yeah?
Yeah, just runs in a line.
Well, that felt solid. I tell you what, Chris, that's gone over your shoulder. That felt really nice.
So 125 is a full one. So you've lost a little bit out of the neck, so is it just strike? But give us another couple.
I hope not, because it felt nice. It feels like visually the same ball flight window, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't look dissimilar. It's actually popped up in the air a little touch.
Yeah.
So it's maybe that we need to make the 46 into 45, which will flatten out the trajectory a wee touch, and the couple of yards that were short should actually help make that up as well.
And that, in fairness, is because I've got 50, 56, and 60 in the wedges. So essentially, we're just...
So we'll take it in one. We'll see if we can bring that peak height down closer to the 80 that everything else is, and we'll see if we can squeeze that extra couple of yards that we were losing out on.
Be interesting to see how many people would think about having, say, the LA golf shaft all the way down into the kind of wedges per se as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think when we look at like the wedges over behind you there, we've got the option that we can try different shafts and wedges, and it might be that somebody plays something a little bit lighter, a little bit heavier. It's let's just make sure it runs in a line for what you want it to do.
Yeah.
Right, so into 45 degrees now.
Thank you. I feel like accuracy-wise, I could go at flags more with that, and I don't know why, because it doesn't even, if we show these down at the ball together, they don't even look that different.
Yeah, do you want to see one beside it?
Yeah.
Let's see what it looks like.
Like, you'd be amazed how similar they kind of look with the top line and the... You think?
Good.
Amazing how different a set can be, isn't it?
So you're back down to that 125 yards that T100 was carrying.
Yeah.
But you're also now finding the peak height's closer to that 80 feet. So in terms of...
It's done everything you wanted it to do, that, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think the problem is when you've got wedges that spike and peak heights go up, if you're playing it in the wind, if you can't, a wedge isn't going to reach the 9's end quite a bit longer, whereas if they run in a line, if one doesn't quite get there, the next will get there.
That is really, really good.
Strike. So from a number standpoint, Vokey actually does what you want it to do.
Yeah.
Now, go and hit me some of those 110-yard ones, the ones that were a little bit trickier. With T100, does this become more playable?
It should do, because I'm not taking as much off it, am I? I'm just kind of hitting a little 90%er. More like 100, that maybe. There we go.
Perfect.
And that's straight off the bat as well, first go.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're actually getting something that's a lot more playable, aren't we, for what we're trying to do?
Yeah, it's a couple of yards long, but you can play the shot you want to play.
Yeah.
But we'll go outside and hit a few off the grass and just make sure
I'd love to.
it interacts with the ground properly.
You don't get that many places, do you? Ooh.
So you've obviously changed from the sole on the irons.
Yeah.
So it's let's just double check this interacts with the ground the way we'd want it to interact with the ground. Good.
You said it, Chris. Slug's incoming.
Nice through the ground?
Yeah, you see, it's funny, a lot of people might think that's too much, but I quite like that with a wedge.
Yeah.
I like it to...
Yeah, you get a little bit steep, but that's fine. Can you knock one down? Can you play a shorter one? Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. So I almost feel like there you've got a new weapon in the arsenal, haven't you? Rather than just a pitching wedge.
It's almost giving you another string to your bow. It's, can you get back to your wedges? It just makes that transition that little bit easier for you.
Yeah, very good. I really, really enjoyed that 50 sign, Chris, straight off the bat. There you go.
That makes the video, eh?
Some of that. Guys, as you can see, a next level fitting there here at SGGT. I think that's been absolutely fantastic to take that non-bias fitting to the next level. As you can see, some totally different head options and shaft options. No, the shafts are the same, aren't they?
Shafts are the same.
Shafts ended up the same because we changed the head in the 4-iron. So totally different head options, but the same shaft throughout in the LA Golf 120. Scott, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thanks for coming along.
Thank you very much. Yeah, if you want to get down here. If you're going down here, you're far up, aren't you?
Yeah,
if you want to go up to SGGT Edinburgh, guys, I will put the link in the description below, and of course the Chesterfield location where we filmed a lot, and there is a location in Europe as well, in Holland. If anyone wants to go,